Hello, I'm Craig Brelsford, and welcome to another episode of Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Now, today's show features interviews with the executives of two public companies. First up is 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals. 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals is a growth-oriented biotechnology company developing new therapies for vector-borne diseases. The company markets the FDA-approved anti-malarial Arakota, or tafenoquine, and is advancing tafenoquine into new indications, among them babesiosis, a tick-borne infection with no approved treatments. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Up next is NDT Pharmaceuticals. NDT Pharmaceuticals is a publicly traded health and wellness company redefining biosafety through its wholly owned subsidiary, Good Salt Life. Good Salt Life is a vertically integrated innovator in infection control, combining cutting-edge chemical delivery technology, EPA-approved antimicrobial solutions, and data-driven disinfection protocols to create end-to-end biosafety ecosystems. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Before we dive into our first interview, let's take a moment to recognize some of RedChip's top performers in 2024. Among them, RedCat, up an incredible 1,293% in 2024. Alliance Entertainment, soaring by 842%. Gorilla Technology, which gained 250%, and Nova Minerals, up 149%. These companies have demonstrated the immense potential of the small-cap market. Before we move forward, let's take a look at RedChat, a revolutionary AI chatbot for small-cap stock analysis.
A new era of small-cap research has arrived with RedChip's RedChat, the fastest, most accurate AI assistant for small caps. The days of spending hours sifting through press releases, 10Ks, 10Qs, 8Ks, 13Fs, 13Gs, and other filings is over. Now, get answers in seconds on 4,000 small-cap stocks in one portal. Simple, fast, accurate, detailed answers. Meet small caps with RedChat.
Now, let's move on to our quote of the week. It comes from the book, Small Stocks, Big Money. Work hard, be a long-term thinker, develop tenacity, and remember, nothing happens without taking calculated risks. This quote comes from Phil Sassower of the Phoenix Group, and it is featured in Chapter 9 of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the micro-cap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's get started with our first interview today with 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals. Hello, today we have Jeff Dow, the CEO, President, and Director of 60 Degrees Pharma. Jeff, great to have you today.
Craig, it's awesome to see you again, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Your company has a very clear mission, tackling infectious diseases with unmet medical needs. Let us start with a high-level overview for those hearing about 60 Degrees Pharma for the first time.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. So we're a small NASDAQ-listed company. We have a single approved product in the US market already. That's Arakota for malaria prevention. And our short-term mission over the next 12 to 18 months is to essentially take the same dosing format of that approved product for malaria prevention and expand its use into tick-borne disease, and specifically a disease called babesiosis.
Jeff, let's look more closely at Arakota. As you said, it is approved for malaria prevention. What about that market opportunity? How big is it, and what makes Arakota unique compared to the other available products?
So Arakota is an acetaminophen. It was developed by the US Army before we licensed it in 2015. I was the commercial project leader that was successful in securing FDA approval back in 2018 for Arakota. And it is a travel medicine product. And so during the pandemic, we did not do a formal launch. And so now, as travel's picked up again and things are moving forward, we're in the process of rolling out a commercial pilot project for Arakota for malaria prevention. And what we're trying to highlight are the features and benefits of the product relative to the other generic alternatives that the CDC also recommends for malaria prevention. And specifically, its features and benefits include a very long half-life, so it can be administered once a week compared to daily. It is a broad spectrum of action product, so it targets all the different cycle stages of the malaria parasite in all parts of the world. And unlike the other products, there are no reports of any drug resistance associated with the use of Arakota or tafenoquine for malaria prevention. And so those are its two key benefits. It's a weekly half-life drug. It can be used anywhere in the world. And that makes the product easier to use for both patients and easier to prescribe for physicians because they don't have to spend hours reading through the full CDC guidance on all this complicated parasitology stuff.
Thank you for that, Jeff. I want to turn now to Arakoda's expanded indication for babesiosis. Now, many of our viewers might not have heard of babesiosis. Tell us about babesiosis. What is it? Why are there still no FDA approved treatments? And why do you see this as such a significant opportunity?
Yeah, so babesiosis is a parasite like malaria, but the main difference is it's transmitted by a tick bite, not a mosquito bite. And the same ticks that transmit Lyme disease transmit babesiosis. So everywhere you see Lyme disease in the US, there's also the potential of contracting babesiosis, often as a co-infection. We think there's a under-recognized market in the chronic form of babesiosis. So where you have a persistent infection in someone with a dysregulated immune system, like a patient with long COVID or a patient with chronic Lyme disease. And the hypothesis in the practitioner community is that the presence of a persistent babesiosis infection prolongs your recovery time from those otherwise complex illnesses. And we think that the reason why there's no FDA-approved treatments for babesiosis is because for a long time, if you look at the CDC website, they only say there's 2,000 cases a year, relative to what's now believed to be, say, 500,000 cases a year of Lyme disease based on insurance claims. So I suspect that we are, in terms of the public appreciation awareness of babesiosis, like where we were with Lyme disease 30 years ago. And so we see an unexplored opportunity to meet a really compelling unmet medical need with Arakota potentially once we've been through the appropriate clinical trials.
In your recent update, the first relapsing babesiosis patient tested negative on both Mayo Clinic RT-PCR and an FDA-approved RNA amplification assay after the tafenoquine-based regimen. Now, Jeff, what is the clinical significance of no detection here, and how does this compare with relapse patterns seen on conventional therapies?
So in the patient that in the first patient that completed our open label study in relapsing babesiosis, these are immunosuppressed patients. They've all failed prior treatment. In our study, they're on tafenoquine weekly plus standard of care. And the first patient who completed the full course is now cured of babesiosis. Current standard of care is you monitor them using a relatively insensitive RT-PCR assay. And clinicians assume when you get to a negative PCR that the patient is actually cured. But there's never been a definitive evidence produced of conventional therapy curing a babesiosis infection. And that's what we think we've done with this first patient, is the combination of tafenoquine plus other drugs cured a patient that previously failed all prior therapy. And we're hopeful that this is a signal of things to come in our future clinical trials and what tafenoquine can do.
You have now submitted a breakthrough therapy designation request for tafenoquine in babesiosis and plan a Type B FDA meeting in early 2026 to align on an SNDA path. Now, what is the evidentiary basis for the BTD request, Jeff? And how could BTD and that meeting shape your development and review timelines?
So breakthrough therapy designations are usually granted in the context of severe disease and an important new therapeutic intervention in a disease with that unmet medical need. In our case, this cure of the first patient really lines up with what the non-clinical literature has shown us and what the published Yale case series from 2024, where 4 out of 5 patients were cured with tafenoquine plus standard of care. And at some level, 80%, 90% is a very higher cure rate in a population of folks who have no other alternatives. So the question is, how many more cured patients do you need before reasonable people consider that you've proven or confirmed what the Yale team previously showed? And so that's what we want to talk to the agency about. We feel like in this first patient that's been through our trial, we've seen the outcome we expected. And now the question to the agency is, how many more patients should we be repeating this promising finding in before it's time to change the labeling and move forward with a new indication?
You have 3 babesiosis studies underway or planned, with remaining enrolled patients expected to complete between January and October of 2026, and initial data anticipated in the second half of 2026. Now, what are the key goals and endpoints across these trials, and how do you envision the data package supporting an SNDA and your profitability goals?
So, of course, the first patient that in our expanded access study that I mentioned, tafenoquine seems to have eradicated infection in that patient. We're hopeful that the 3 clinical trials we do will demonstrate parasite eradication in 3 different patient populations, as well as the ability to provide clinical benefit in those 3 populations, all of whom have severe or disabling manifestations of the disease. We think that'll be really compelling to FDA and the community. In terms of the market potential, the chronic babesiosis study will show us that we can prove Babesia infection is present in patients with chronic disease, and it will prove that commercially available diagnostics can reliably pick up those same infections at a reasonable enough rate to convince stakeholders that there really is a market there to go after.
Finally, Jeff, what is the essential value proposition? Why should investors take an interest in 60 Degrees Pharma today?
So I often answer this question by saying that, we think we're the smallest NASDAQ listed company with an FDA approved product. And that highlights the opportunity and the risk. The opportunity being this is not our first rodeo. We've been to FDA before, where we have a clinical trial program that is expanding the indication for an already approved product. So it's relatively low risk and low cost. And the small market cap means that there's potentially a value opportunity there if we hit our clinical trial benchmarks and are successful in our interaction with the agency.
It's a great story, Jeff. Thanks for being here.
Craig, thanks a lot. It's always good to see you guys, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Now, to get more information on 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals, visit sxtpinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly our client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can also order your copy of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book written by RedChip's CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Order your copy on Amazon today for just $18. Before we move forward, let's take a look at RedChat, a revolutionary AI chatbot for small cap stock analysis.
A new era of small cap research has arrived with RedChip's RedChat, the fastest, most accurate AI assistant for small caps. The days of spending hours sifting through press releases, 10Ks, 10Qs, 8Ks, 13Fs, 13Gs, and other filings is over. Now, get answers in seconds on 4,000 small cap stocks in one portal. Simple, fast, accurate, detailed answers. Meet small caps with RedChat.
Now, let's move on to our next interview today with NDT Pharmaceuticals. Hello, today we have with us Zach O'Shea, the president and CEO of NDT Pharmaceuticals, which trades on the OTC under the ticker NDTP. Zach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
NDT Pharmaceuticals recently completing the acquisition of Good Salt Life. What can you tell us about this transformative acquisition?
Well, obviously, this acquisition is a major step in NDT's pharmaceuticals growth strategy. Good Salt Life has established itself as a trusted leader in biosafety solutions, and what we're actually doing is creating a vertically integrated platform that spans three things: preventative health, environmental safety, and emerging technologies. This positions us to address multiple high-growth markets.
Now, Zach, the global biosafety market is projected at $148 billion, with animal health and pet hygiene as key verticals. Where do you see the low-hanging fruit for Good Salt Life, and what's the biggest growth driver near term?
So the low-hanging fruit here, or the immediate opportunities, are in the animal health space. This includes places like veterinary clinics and pet care facilities. There's strong demand for safe and effective disinfectants. The near-term growth is driven primarily through sales of our natural products and the delivery systems that improve efficiency and compliance. These markets value both product efficacy and operational simplicity, which is where we exceed.
Now, Good Salt Life works with some major enterprises, household names, United Airlines, Carnival Cruise Lines, just to name a few. What attracts these industry leaders to your company?
That's a great question. The commercial customers like United and Carnival look for solutions that deliver measurable results, protect people and surfaces, while also reducing operational complexity. Good Salt Life's approach couples highly effective disinfectants with an advanced induction charge delivery system. This makes us unique, and this combination does allow large organizations to maintain the highest hygiene standards both consistently and efficiently.
Now, Zach, as you well know, post-COVID, there were a lot of Me Too players in the disinfection world. Companies pivoting to disinfection products. What differentiates Good Salt Life today from those Me Too players?
Good Salt Life differentiates itself due to its long-standing commitment to science-backed, sustainable biosafety solutions. Unlike many other companies that popped up during the pandemic, we have an established credibility, commercial adoption, and a product line validated for performance and safety. On top of all that, our technology-driven approach, which includes smart spraying systems as well as emerging analytics, sets us apart from typical companies that shifted to disinfection during COVID.
That segues nicely into my next question. Good Salt Life, you're developing these AI-powered sensors and smart facility analytics. How close are these technologies to commercialization, and how do they add to your value proposition?
Yeah, so we're currently in the late stage development and pilot testing phase. We're working with a select commercial partner. And the cool thing about these AI powered sensors is that they provide real time monitoring of the surface and air hygiene. This allows predictive and data driven disinfection practices. And it can create measurable outcomes for customers and adds a recurring data layer to our business model, which enhances both operational value and long term revenue potential.
Now, Zach, it's a cliche, but it must be said. Management, the key to the success of any company, but especially a small cap company. What can you tell us about some of the key players on your team?
Yep. So our team combines deep expertise across life sciences, biosafety, manufacturing, and commercial distribution. Our leadership experience includes working with Fortune 500 companies, healthcare systems, and government entities. This allows us to scale strategically while still delivering high quality science backed solutions.
In summary, now, Zach, what is the essential value proposition? Why should investors take an interest in NDTP right now?
Investors should be interested in NDT Pharmaceuticals because we sit at the crossroads of health, safety, and technology. Through Good Salt Life, we offer proven products with recurring revenue streams, commercial adoption, and emerging smart technologies that turn biosafety into a measurable data driven platform. This combination of tangible results, recurring revenue, and innovation positions NDTP uniquely in the biosafety and preventative health markets, which offers significant upside for investors.
Zach, great meeting you, and thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, to get more information on NDT Pharmaceuticals, visit ndtpinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like NDT Pharmaceuticals. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly our client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can order Small Stocks, Big Money. This is a book written by RedChip CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon for $18. Now, let's recap the companies featured today. First, you met 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals, SXTP on the NASDAQ. 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals is a growth-oriented biotechnology company developing new therapies for vector-borne diseases. The company markets the FDA-approved anti-malarial Aracoda, or tafenoquine, and is advancing tafenoquine into new indications, among them babesiosis, a tick-borne infection with no approved treatments. Learn more at www.sxtpinfo.com. Then you met NDT Pharmaceuticals, NDTP on the OTC. NDT Pharmaceuticals is a publicly traded health and wellness company redefining biosafety through its wholly owned subsidiary, Good Salt Life. Good Salt Life is a vertically integrated innovator in infection control, combining cutting-edge chemical delivery technology, EPA-approved antimicrobial solutions, and data-driven disinfection protocols to create end-to-end biosafety ecosystems. Learn more at www.ndtpinfo.com. Don't forget to check out our stocks page. It is the biggest small-cap stock portal in the industry. It has every company listed on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange with market caps of $2 billion and less. And it's categorized by industry. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small-cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel, and be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter and learn about a lot of small-cap companies. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly our client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, if you have any questions about any of our public companies featured on today's show, call us at 1-800-RedChip or email us at info@redchip.com. In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile of asset classes. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip client companies, and we may own stock in these companies. So please, always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week with some new, exciting, emerging growth companies.
RedChip. We build investor audiences for small cap companies, retail and institutional. 33 years, thousands of clients. We are experts in messaging. National TV ad campaigns, investor webinars, digital media, reaching hundreds of thousands of investors. RedChip. We do it well, we do it right, we do it big. RedChip. Call us or email us today.